You know that moment when someone says, "So, tell me about yourself," and your mind just goes completely blank?
Oh, absolutely. It's like every interesting thing you've ever done suddenly evaporates. Poof, gone. You're left standing there thinking, well, I had cereal for breakfast.
Exactly. And it's such a common thing to have to do, whether you're at a party, starting a new job, or meeting someone in a casual setting. Why do we find it so tricky?
I think it's the pressure to sum up your entire existence in 3 snappy sentences. It feels like you're pitching a movie about yourself, and you'd better not make it boring.
That's a great way to put it, pitching a movie. So rather than just winging it and panicking, what's a better way to go about it? What's a good mental framework?
For me, the key is to ditch the autobiography idea. Think of it like a movie trailer, not the full film, just the highlights that are relevant to the moment. You're giving someone a hook, not a manual.
So context is everything, right? You wouldn't introduce yourself the same way at a networking event as you would at a friend's barbecue.
100%. At the barbecue, I might lead with my failed attempt at making sourdough bread. At a professional event, I'd probably focus on what I'm currently working on and maybe one passion project on the side. You've got to read the room.
Right, tailoring it. Let's break it down then. If you had to give someone a simple 3-step formula to build an introduction on the spot, what would the pieces be?
I'd say start with the present, then touch on the past, and finish with the future. A simple present, past, future structure. It's a classic for a reason. It's a clean little narrative arc that's easy to follow.
Okay, walk me through that. So step 1, present. What does that actually sound like?
Currently, I'm a content writer, mainly focused on tech and education. Or for a more casual thing, these days I'm spending a lot of my time trying to learn Spanish and getting into landscape photography. It answers the "what are you doing right now" question instantly.
It immediately grounds the conversation in the here and now. It's not some distant, abstract thing. Then comes the past. This is where people often ramble on, listing every job they've ever had, right?
The dreaded resume recital. Nobody wants a chronological list of your life. The trick is to pick just 1 or 2 relevant things from your backstory that explain how you got to the present. A little bit of context.
So if you just said you're a content writer, the past connection could be something like, but before that, I was a teacher for 5 years, which is where I learned to break down complex ideas.
Bingo. See how that instantly adds depth? It's not just a job title change, it's a story of a skill transferring over. It shows you're not just a list of jobs, but a person with a thread running through your decisions.
That's the phrase, isn't it? A thread running through it. And that naturally leads to the final step, the future. I'm guessing this shouldn't be, and one day I will rule the world?
Maybe leave the world domination part out, at least for the first 5 minutes. The future part is about showing you're going somewhere. It could be a concrete goal. I'm hoping to move into a lead strategy role soon. Or it can be more of a passion. I'm really looking forward to finally exhibiting my photos later this year.
It signals ambition without sounding arrogant. So the full polished version might be, I'm a content writer now, but I used to be a teacher, which is where I learned to explain complex topics. I'm hoping to move into a learning design role in the future.
Look at you. That's a pro introduction. See how that's got a beginning, middle, and end? It's satisfying to listen to. It takes about 15 seconds, and it gives the other person 3 or 4 different things to ask you about.
That's the real gold, isn't it? Giving them conversational hooks. So many people forget that an introduction isn't a monologue. It's the opening move in a dialogue. You're actually offering a menu of topics.
Exactly. You're saying, here are a few things about me. Pick one that interests you. They might ask, oh, what made you leave teaching? Or what kind of photography do you do? Suddenly, you're not just talking about yourself, you're having an actual conversation.
This is a game changer for me. I used to just say my job title and then sort of trail off, hoping they'd carry the weight. So moving beyond the structure, what are some of the actual words and phrases that make someone sound more engaging, less like a robot?
A big one is using these days. It's so much warmer than currently or at the present time. These days, I'm really into. It sounds current, a little bit experimental, like it's something you're actively exploring, not something set in stone.
I love that. These days, I'm on a real DIY kick. Instead of, my hobby is home improvement. It feels less definitive, more inviting. What about for the past section? How do you make that sound less like a boring history lesson?
A phrase I use all the time is, "I used to be in that world." It's great for when you want to acknowledge a past career or life phase without getting bogged down in the details. If I say, "I used to be in the finance world, but these days I'm all about woodworking," it paints a whole picture in 2 sentences.
It creates a clean break and shows a transformation. That's so much more interesting than saying, "I was an accountant from 2010 to 2017. Are there any phrases we should steer clear of? Things that are unintentionally off-putting?
I've been doing this for 15 years. Unless it's directly relevant to a solution you're offering, it's often just a way to establish seniority, and it can land a bit flat. It closes down the conversation rather than opening it up.
Right. It's like dropping a heavyweight fact that nobody can really respond to except with, "Wow, that's a long time." Another one I hear a lot is, "I'm just a," or "I'm only a." That self-deprecation can be a real conversation killer.
Oh, it's a reflex for so many people. "I'm just a junior developer." It diminishes everything that follows. You're basically apologizing for your presence before the conversation has even started. Ditch the just. You're a developer. Full stop.
It's tough because sometimes it feels like humility, but it actually puts a burden on the other person to reassure you. "Oh no, don't say that. I'm sure you're great." It's an awkward dynamic.
Totally. A better way to frame something if you're new is to use the word currently. I'm currently focusing on the front-end side of development. It implies growth, that you're on a path, which is way more dynamic than "I'm just a..."
So language can really shape perception. Now, I know this is a huge one for many people. What about when English isn't your first language? The pressure to introduce yourself perfectly can be paralyzing. What's your advice there?
That's such an important point. The biggest hurdle is often the fear of making a mistake. I always say, nobody is sitting there with a grammar checklist. They're listening to your story. A small error in a tense is 1,000 times better than a frozen silence.
Fluency over accuracy, at least in that initial moment. It's better to say something like, "Before I come here, I work in marketing," which gets the idea across perfectly, than to be so afraid of the past perfect tense that you say nothing at all.
Exactly. The goal is connection, not perfection. You can even frame your language journey as a hook. Something like, "These days, a big part of my life is improving my English, which is why I'm a little nervous right now, but it's exciting." That takes so much courage, and it's incredibly endearing.
It turns a potential insecurity into a strength. It shows you're someone who challenges themselves. It's instantly a memorable story. But let's get practical. You've got your story down, but your delivery is monotone and you're staring at your shoes. The magic is gone, right?
Gone. Poof. Again. The nonverbal stuff carries more weight than the words themselves, I think. A genuine smile before you even speak is a killer opener. It disarms people. And eye contact doesn't mean a creepy stare. It means looking at people when you make your key points, then naturally looking away, then back again.
The ping pong effect. Some people find it really hard to maintain eye contact, though. It can feel intensely vulnerable. What's a practical trick?
A classic one is to look at the bridge of their nose or right between their eyes. It's imperceptible to them, but it eases the intensity for you. Also, just slowing down your speech by about 10%. Nerves make us speed up, and a slightly slower pace conveys calm and confidence, even if you're faking it.
I've heard that fake it till you make it actually works with body language. Another thing that makes a huge difference is the pitch of your voice, letting it go down at the end of a sentence instead of up.
Right, uptalk, where every sentence sounds like a question. It makes you sound uncertain. Compare, "I'm a graphic designer," to "I'm a graphic designer." The first one is asking for permission. The second is stating a fact. It's a tiny change with a massive impact on how you're perceived.
What about what you do with your hands? I never know what to do with them when I'm introducing myself, and I suddenly become aware that they're just these awkward things hanging off my body.
You and half the planet. The worst thing is to shove them in your pockets or across your arms, which makes you look closed off. Using small, open gestures to punctuate your points is great, like holding up one finger subtly when you say your first point. It looks natural and helps you physically structure your thoughts.
So it's a full body experience.
Now, a scenario I find truly difficult is the group introduction. You know, let's go around the table and say a bit about ourselves. My heart sinks.
The circle of doom. The secret there is to ignore the fact that there are 10 people. Just pick one kind-looking person and deliver your introduction to them, as if you're just talking to a friend. You'll naturally relax, and the whole room will benefit from that authentic tone.
Because everyone else is just so relieved it's not their turn. They're not judging you. They're mentally rehearsing their own lines. So you're not addressing a faceless panel of judges. You're just chatting to one person.
Exactly. The other thing is, when you're not the one speaking, actually listen. Instead of panicking about what you'll say, get curious about the person speaking. It'll show on your face, and when you do speak, you might even be able to connect your intro back to something someone else said, which is the ultimate power move.
That's a high-level skill. The small but mighty detail of remembering someone's name. I am notoriously bad at this. Someone tells me their name, and 2 seconds later, it's just gone.
The in one ear and out the other phenomenon. The trick is to use their name immediately in your response. They say, "Hi, I'm Sarah." You don't just say, "Hi," you say, "Hi, Sarah, lovely to meet you." The act of saying it locks it in your brain.
It also shows a real active effort to remember. It's flattering, honestly. But what if you do forget? The nightmare scenario. You've been talking for 10 minutes and you have no idea what they're called.
Don't bluff. There's nothing worse than guessing wrong. I'm a big fan of the honest, slightly self-deprecating approach. "I'm so sorry, I was so focused on our conversation that your name just slipped my mind. Could you tell me again?" It's a compliment wrapped in an apology.
I've used a variation of that. I know your name is not "Hey You," but it just went out of my head. It's human. Now, we've talked about a well-crafted introduction, but what about the opposite, the oversharer? How do you navigate the introduction that turns into a life story you didn't ask for?
Oh, the verbal avalanche. That's when you need a gentle, polite interruption. A phrase like, "Before we go too far down that path," or "That's a really interesting point, let's circle back to it," can be very effective. You're acknowledging what they said while placing a kind fence around the conversation.
It's about redirecting, not rejecting. You don't want to make them feel bad for being enthusiastic. Another common dynamic is the one-upper. You say you're training for a 5K, and they're just back from an ultra-marathon in the Andes.
The conversational competitor. My strategy there is to be unimpressible. Just give a calm, "Sounds like quite an experience," and then deliberately turn to someone else and ask them a question. You're not giving them the competitive energy they're seeking, which elegantly deflates the whole thing.
That's a power move. So I want to bring this back to a specific phrase we used earlier, read the room. We said you need to read the room before you introduce yourself. How do you actually do that quickly and effectively?
It's a quick scan of the energy. You're picking up on the unspoken rules. Is this a loud, backslapping kind of room? Or is it a quiet, more formal, listening kind of room? Are people using titles and last names? Or is everyone on a first-name basis instantly? Your intro should match that collective volume and formality.
So if you burst into a quiet, serious room with a big, loud, "Hey everyone, I'm Jake and I love skydiving," you're going to get a lot of cold stares.
You'll hear crickets. You'd adjust that. In that room, you'd walk up to one person, make eye contact, lower your voice, and say, "Hi, I'm Jake. I don't think we've connected yet." The content is almost secondary to the energy with which you deliver it.
That's a brilliant low-pressure opener, by the way. I don't think we've connected yet. It's so much more natural than, "Hello, my name is," which sounds like a language textbook. Are there other casual openers you like?
"I don't think I've had a chance to meet you yet," is my go-to at a gathering. For a more professional setting, "I was hoping I'd get a chance to bump into you." Can work if it's genuine. But connected is my favorite word. It's modern, it suggests a two-way street, and it's less transactional than meet.
It feels less like a business transaction. Now, this is a big one for our listeners. An introduction doesn't end after you've spoken your 3 sentences. The ending is arguably the most important part. What's the best way to wrap it up and keep the conversation going?
The baton pass. You have to hand the conversation back like a relay runner.
The worst thing you can do is just stop talking and stare, like, okay, I'm done, your turn to perform. You need to end with a question that's related to what you just said.
So if my intro was, I work in tech now, but my background is in art, and I'm trying to blend the two, my baton pass question could be something like, I'm always curious how other people find a creative outlet in their work. What about you?
Perfect. It's an open, interesting question that flows directly from your story. It makes the conversation feel seamless, not like you're interviewing them. It shows you're not just interested in your own story, but in theirs as well, which is really the whole point.
It turns a monologue into a dialogue, which we've been saying all along. We should also talk about the digital side of things, because so many introductions now happen via text or on a platform. Your online bio is often the first handshake. How do you not make it sound like a tombstone inscription?
A digital tombstone. Too many people just write husband, father, engineer, coffee addict. It's a label list, not a person. I think the same storytelling principles apply, even in a very short bio. Show, don't tell. Instead of coffee addict, something like currently on a quest to find the perfect flat white in my city.
It paints a picture. It's specific, it's a little playful, and it's a conversation starter. Oh, have you tried the place on Fifth Avenue? It's so much better than a static, dead-end label.
And for a professional bio, especially on a site like LinkedIn, you can blend personality with your professional story in the same present, past, future framework we talked about. Helping startups tell their story through data. Former data analyst who realized the real story was in the why, not just the numbers. Always keen to connect with narrative-driven founders.
Wow, that's strong. It's clear, it's got a nice little pivot in the middle, and it ends with a call to connect. It's not just a static list of duties, it's an active story. I think a lot of people are afraid to show that bit of personality, especially in a professional context.
It's a huge missed opportunity. A bio with a tiny bit of warmth or an unexpected detail is memorable. For example, if you're in finance, adding numbers by day, watercolor painter by night just splits you open as a multidimensional human. People connect with humans, not job descriptions.
It's that watercolor painter part that people will remember and ask about. Okay, so let's say someone is listening to this whole formula and thinking, this all sounds great, but it feels so calculated. Won't I sound like a robot? How do you move from a formula to something that feels authentic?
The formula is just the scaffolding. You have to fill it with your own messy, real details. The way to make it sound unscripted is to script it first, then practice saying it 5 different ways until you find the version that sounds like you. It's not about memorizing lines. It's about internalizing a structure so well that you can improvise within it.
It's like learning a jazz standard. You learn the basic chords first, and then you can riff on them and make them your own. The goal is not to perform perfectly. The goal is to connect. And a little stumble, let me try that again, is deeply human and far more connectable than a glossy corporate speak delivery.
Totally. I'll never forget someone introducing themselves to me with this perfectly polished paragraph, and then right at the end they laughed and said, "Sorry, I've been rehearsing that in the car for 20 minutes." That single moment of realness was far more memorable and endearing than the perfect speech that came before it.
Because it was the truth. It's so relatable. So we've talked about the how, but let's zoom out for a second. Beneath all the technique, what do you think is the real core purpose of introducing yourself? What are we actually trying to do in that first moment?
I think at its heart, it's about giving someone a small gift. The gift of understanding who you are, just a little bit, so you can both feel safe and curious. You're saying, here I am. This is a piece of my story, and I see you there too. It's an invitation to start a tiny temporary community of 2 people.
That's a beautiful way to frame it. It lowers the stakes from, I have to impress this person, to, I have to offer a small, authentic piece of myself and invite them to do the same. It's an act of generosity, not a performance.
Exactly. And when you shift that mindset, the nerves don't vanish, but they transform. It's no longer the fear of being judged. It becomes the excitement of a shared discovery. You're just 2 people figuring out how your lives might overlap, and that's actually a pretty cool thing.
So if you had to give our listeners one final practical piece of homework to practice this week, One thing they can do every single day to get better at this. What would it be?
I'd say start with the barista or the person at the corner store. Don't just say thanks. Look them in the eye, smile, and say thanks. Hope your day's going well. It's a 5-second introduction of your humanity. Practice the small, low-stakes moments because that's where you build the muscle memory of genuine connection.
Build the muscle memory of genuine connection. That's a perfect line, because that's what it is, isn't it? A practice. It's not a talent you're born with. It's a skill you build, one small human moment at a time.
One hello at a time. And the beautiful thing is, everyone wants to feel seen. By making that small effort, you're giving them that gift. And almost always, they'll give it right back.
Well, I don't think there's a better note to leave our conversation on than that. A huge thank you, Jake, for your time, your wisdom, and the reassuring laughter. It's been a genuine pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine, Emma. Thanks for having me. And to everyone listening, just remember, the only bad introduction is the one you don't give. So go on, introduce yourself. The world is genuinely curious to meet you.